A truck runs the red light. It's going to hit you. And in the last half second before it does, the world slows down. You see the grill, the bolts on the bumper, the other driver's mouth falling open, a coffee cup lifting off your dashboard, spinning slowly in the air. You have time to think one full, clear thought. This is it. And then time snaps back, and the noise comes crashing in. You walk away saying the thing almost everyone says. It felt like slow motion, not sped up, not blurry, slow. Like the universe reached over and dropped the whole world into a lower gear just for you. But here's what should stop you cold. It isn't just you. A soldier in a firefight says it. A climber watching the rope snap says it. A kid falling off a roof says it. The exact same words across every kind of terror, in every country, in every century. Millions of strangers all reporting the same impossible thing, that in the worst moment of their lives, time cracked open and slowed down. So which is it? Did time actually slow? Or did your brain somehow speed up and turn you for 1 second into something faster than human? For the longest time, nobody could answer that, because how would you even test it? You can't crash a car on purpose. You can't put a person in real danger with a stopwatch running. But one scientist found a way, and to get his answer, he did something that sounds completely insane. He took people up a 15-story tower and dropped them off the back of it, backwards, in free fall, just to see what fear does to time. What he found was stranger than slow motion, because your brain did lie to you, but not in the moment. It lied afterward. Let's get into it. First, you need to know this feeling is real. It is not people being dramatic. It's one of the most reliably reported experiences in all of human history. And for most of that history, there were only two ways to explain it. The first one is boring. Maybe it's just a figure of speech. Maybe nothing special happens at all. And slow motion is only how we dress up a scary memory later. But the second explanation is thrilling. What if, when your life is on the line, your brain flips a hidden switch? What if it starts running faster, taking in more of the world, more moments per second, like a camera shooting in super slow motion? That would mean, for a few seconds, you actually become superhuman. You would literally see more of reality than a normal person can. Fear as a secret gear. And honestly, that's what most people quietly believe. It feels true. When you replay the crash, you remember so much detail, packed into so little time, that surely your brain must have sped up to catch it all. There's only one problem. To prove it, you'd have to catch a brain in the act, mid-terror, while it's happening. And you cannot ethically scare a person that badly on command. So for decades, the question just sat there, unanswerable, until a neuroscientist named David Eagleman decided he could not let it go. And Eagleman wasn't chasing this out of idle curiosity. He had a personal reason, a memory of his own. When he was a boy, he fell off a roof. The whole thing lasted maybe half a second, but he never forgot it, because during that tiny fall, time stretched. It felt long, impossibly long. He hit the ground carrying a memory that didn't match the physics. Half a second that felt like so much more. And that little crack, that mismatch, followed him for years until he grew up into a scientist who studies time itself. So he set out to answer the exact question that had haunted him since childhood. And notice how carefully he had to aim it. Not, does it feel slow? Everyone agrees it feels slow. That's not the mystery. The real question, the sharp one, was this. Is the slow motion actually happening in the moment? Or is it a trick your memory plays on you afterward? And those two things are almost impossible to tell apart, because from the inside, they feel identical. You can't just ask people. Of course they'll swear time slowed. That is the whole illusion. He needed a way to reach into the most terrifying moment of a person's life and measure it while it happened. So he built a device. Picture a small screen strapped to your wrist like a watch. On it, a single number appears, but it doesn't sit still. It flickers, swapping with its own reversed image, faster and faster, until the two blur into a single gray smudge, and you can't read it at all. He tuned it exactly. For each person, he set that flicker just a hair faster than their eyes could follow. So on the ground, calm and safe, you stare right at it and see nothing. Just a blur. The number's right there. You simply cannot catch it. And that blurs the whole genius of it. because it turns an impossible question into a simple yes or no. Forget asking people how time felt afterward. This little machine could actually count the frames. It could catch the superpower in the act, if the superpower was real. Now think about what that little machine can do. If terror really does speed your brain up, if fear turns you into that slow motion camera, then in a truly frightening moment, the flicker should slow down enough for you to suddenly read the number. The blur would snap into focus, and you'd see it. So the test became beautifully, brutally simple. Terrify someone while they stare at that wrist screen and ask a single question. Can you read it now? There was just one problem left. How do you terrify a person on demand, again and again, without ever actually hurting them? His answer was a tower, about 150 feet tall, 15 stories of open air. You get strapped into a harness, you're winched slowly up and up with nothing beneath your feet, and then you're released, backwards. No platform under you, no way to see the ground rushing up. Just 3 full seconds of free fall, dropping toward a net far, far below, with one little screen glowing on your wrist. And let me be clear about something. This is not a theme park ride. These people were genuinely, bone-deep terrified. Their bodies had no idea there was a net. Every instinct they had was screaming that they were falling to their death, which is exactly the point. That is real terror, bottled and repeatable. So they fell, eyes locked on the number, every one of them hoping, somewhere deep down, to feel that superpower switch on, to watch the blur resolve and prove that fear makes us fast. And everything, the whole question, the whole mystery came down to this. As they plunged backwards through the worst 3 seconds they had ever volunteered for, could they read it? No, they couldn't. Not one bit better than they could, standing safely on the ground. The number stayed a smudge the entire way down. The superpower didn't exist. Their brains had not sped up. There were no extra frames. In the real, actual moment of terror, their vision was completely, boringly normal. Time did not slow down. It never had. But, and this is where it turns, when those same people climbed out of that net and were asked how long their own fall had lasted, they got it wrong. Wildly wrong. They'd watch a friend drop and time it almost perfectly. Then they'd swear their own identical fall had lasted far longer. On average, about a third longer. 36% to be exact. So sit inside that contradiction for a second. In the moment, nothing slowed. Their perception ran at completely normal speed. And yet the memory of it came back, stretched, swollen, longer than real. Which means the slow motion is real. But it is not happening when you think it is. It's not in the fall. It's not in the crash. It's in the remembering. And once you see how that works, you will never fully trust the clock inside your head again. Here's the secret. Your brain does not actually have a clock. You think you can feel time passing. You can't. What you really do is much stranger. To judge how long something took, your brain quietly checks one single thing. How much do I remember? How much is packed into this stretch? A thin memory feels short. A dense, detailed memory feels long. That is the entire rule. Time to your brain is just a measure of how much you recorded. Now drop back into the crash. The instant you sense danger, your brain's alarm system slams on, and it starts writing everything down. Every detail. The grill, the bolts, the spinning cup, the stranger's face. In ordinary life, your brain is lazy. It barely bothers to record anything. But in terror, it floods the moment and captures it in staggering, impossible detail. And here's the proof you've felt yourself. You cannot remember your drive to work last Tuesday. It's gone. But a moment when you were truly in danger years ago, you can still see it. Frame by frame. That's the recording system, running at 2 completely different speeds. One speed for ordinary life, where almost nothing gets saved, and one speed for danger, where suddenly, all at once, everything does. Then the danger passes, you're safe, and your brain looks back at that 1 second and finds it absolutely stuffed, crammed with more detail than a single second could ever normally hold. So it does the only math it can. It thinks, no ordinary second contains this much. This must have taken far longer than a second. And so it quietly rewrites the memory as slow motion, just to make all the detail fit. You never live slow motion. You remembered your way into it, a heartbeat too late. The superpower was never speed, it was memory. Wearing a costume, pretending to be time. And think about how wild that actually is. The most cinematic thing your mind has ever done to you, that vivid life or death slow motion, your brain added it in afterward, once the danger was already over. Like a film crew slowing down the footage in the edit, days after the stunt was shot. You didn't watch it happen slowly. You were handed the slowed down version and told you'd been there for it. And this is the part that quietly rearranges everything. Because if that's true for a 3-second fall, it's true for your entire life. How fast your life feels isn't really about time at all. It's about how much you're recording. Think about it. A single childhood summer can feel enormous in your memory. Endless. While whole adult years now slip past and vanish, gone before you even noticed they arrived. Same mechanism. As a kid, everything was new, so your brain wrote down all of it, and those days feel vast. As an adult, the days blur into routine. Your brain stops bothering to record, and the years quietly collapse into almost nothing. The terrifying second and the forgotten year are the same trick, running in opposite directions. Fear makes 1 second feel like forever because you recorded so much of it. Routine makes a whole year disappear because you recorded almost none of it. It's why a single summer as a kid felt like a whole world you could get lost in, and why, as an adult, you can blink and lose an entire decade. The clock on the wall never changed, only how much of it you bothered to keep, which leaves you with something strange and a little bit hopeful. You cannot add more hours to your life, but you might be able to add more life to your hours, not with a hack or a trick, just by noticing, by actually being there for it. A real conversation, a meal you taste, a place you've never been, anything that wakes your brain back up and makes it start recording again. Every single time you truly pay attention, every time something makes your brain sit up and record in full, rich detail, you are, in the only way that actually counts, slowing time down, not in a crash, on purpose. So the next time the world lurches into slow motion, the near miss, the slip, the split second where everything stretches, you'll finally know the truth. Your brain didn't speed up to save you. It just, for one blazing instant, paid perfect attention. It noticed everything. And that is the quiet, haunting secret buried underneath all of it. The slowest, longest, most vivid moments of your entire life are not the calm ones. They're the ones where you were most awake, most present, most afraid of losing it all. Maybe that's the real reason time flies. Not because it's moving too fast, but because most of the time, we're barely even here to watch it go. So if a moment ever cracked open like that for you, a crash, a fall, a second that somehow lasted a lifetime, tell me about it in the comments. I want to know what your brain decided to keep. And if you like having the hidden machinery of your own mind pulled apart like this, there's a whole channel full of it right here. I'll see you in the next one.